Now to fallout over the Trump administration's efforts to stop Bob Mueller's findings about Donald Trump and his aides from really ever fully reaching the public. A federal judge rebuking Trump Attorney General Bill Barr for distorting the facts and misleading the public in how he handled the Mueller report. The DOJ just responding moments ago saying this court's assertions were, they believe, contrary to the facts, and DOJ stands by the work that they have done. But this was a huge deal, remember, when Mueller finished the Russia probe. It was one of the most effective special counsel investigations in modern history. It indicted U.S. adversaries in Russia, and it ferreted out criminals in the highest level of Donald Trump's orbit. That probe, of course, is why Donald Trump's campaign manager and one of his longest-serving lawyers are still in prison right now. And yet the leader of the very Justice Department which won those victories infamously rushed out misleading information at the end of the probe before the Mueller report came out. You probably remember the moment.
A major victory for President Trump. The summary now from the Attorney General, who said Mueller and his team found no collusion, no conspiracy.
A summary of the Mueller report was released. The report found no collusion,
concluding that investigators found no evidence that President Trump or his campaign conspired or coordinated with Russia.
That was some of the initial reporting about Barr's letter, not the actual Mueller report. It was, in a way, exactly what Barr wanted, but not everyone took his word for it that day. In fact, we were rushing to our newsroom that very weekend to report specifically on the facts and the difference between what Barr was asserting in his letter and what one could actually find if and when we got the underlying Mueller report.
There are so many legitimate questions about the Attorney General's summary of Mueller's report, including whether or not Barr's account amounts to something of a bit of a whitewash.
This is 4 pages. There's not a single full sentence in here that's quoted the Mueller report. The House is sort of getting muscled out in an attempt by the new Attorney General to say, I'm going to issue my own conclusion on that. And he's doing that with these 4 partial sentences.
No one outside of the Justice Department or the special counsel's team has seen Mueller's report, so we're relying on the Barr summary for all of our information.
That was our journalistic reporting about the facts. And now these facts are catching up with Bill Barr because his DOJ is actually fighting to keep some parts of the Mueller report still secret, those redacted parts. And let's be clear, in normal times, judges give deference to a government request like this. But in the new order we're reporting on for you tonight, a federal judge ruling that Barr's own conduct and deception has burned up a lot of that usual deference. Again, reading from this judge's ruling that there is an obvious, quote, lack of candor and inconsistencies in Barr's handling of the Mueller report that frankly puts his, quote, credibility in doubt. Also finding that Barr had the fundamentally illicit intent to undermine his own Justice Department's work and push a Trump-friendly, one-sided narrative at odds with the Mueller report and what so many DOJ staff found in their work inside that probe. This is a legal battle over getting the rest of the facts. The judge is saying that he may ultimately force more facts out because of the suspicion that Barr made a calculated attempt to influence public discourse to favor Trump. This is the idea that if you spin the facts in advance before the public ever saw Mueller's conclusions, maybe they wouldn't matter that much when they actually come out. So what's next? Well, first, this is part of the system working. You need to know that right now. However, slowly, it shows that even a very powerful attorney general can be held accountable in public by independent courts. Second, this judge is demanding the DOJ turn over the full unredacted copy of the report for his review, which could lead to another ruling against, potentially, the Trump Justice Department. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.